morning, everyone. Thanks for coming back to my kitchen this morning. It's a gorgeous Saturday morning, and I got up this morning and decided that I was going to finally fix me something sweet. I haven't had anything in about 3-4 weeks in here that I haven't done any pastries or anything, just, you know, kind of a goodie. So today I'm going to make fresh blueberry turnovers. They're kind of my favorite. I like making anything that has to do with blueberries I like, and turnovers are a great treat. So this is a simple little recipe that I'm going to use this morning, and haven't done it in a long time, so I have got my cheat sheet over here. Just a few couple of ingredients. Instead of going over to my stove, I'm going to just do it right here on my little hot plate. So get a saucepan. It doesn't matter really what size, but enough that's going to hold 2 cups of blueberries. And I already measured out my blueberries. It came to 2 cups in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour all my blueberries. I have washed these very well. I'm going to pour all those into here. And then it calls for a half a cup of regular sugar. Put that in there. And it calls for 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And you're going to put your heat, whether you're doing this on the stove or like me on a little burner, you're going to, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. You're going to get this cooking until it's boiling. That's good, 1 tablespoon. And it calls for 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Put that in there. Because we're going to make this thicken up now to go into our little pastry. So we have to have the cornstarch in. Okay, so my heat, like I said, is on, I turned it to about medium high on here. Just kind of stir that around so it's going to look like this. And stir it around. And that's going to get the blueberries where they're going to start kind of cooking and popping open and looking real nice. And that's all it calls for on this mixture of getting the blueberries into more of a syrup. You can use blueberry pie filling, but why do that when you have fresh blueberries? They're so much better. You're going to let this cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes. So while I'm now getting it where it's looking like this, where it's all stirred together, I'll grab my little timer. And we'll set it for just a couple of minutes in here. Let the chicken do all the work. Let chicken do all the work. And with mine, I'm going to add just a little bit of lemon zest to this. Just a little bit in here. Give it a good taste. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And cook that down. I spent last night, I kind of fell off the grid for a little bit. I do that every now and then when I get busy with other projects and different things in my life. I call it life got in the way, but I kind of fell off the grid in communicating with family members. And so last night I talked to my daughter-in-law for about, I don't know, 2.5 hours on the phone and did a kind of a catch-up. You've all done that when you haven't talked to somebody in a while. You just kind of, you start in talking and oh my gosh, it goes from one conversation to the next, and before you know it, you know, the time just goes by. And so last night I kind of stayed up late talking with her, but it was great. It was more quality time, even if it was over the telephone and not in person. Okay, so my sugar now is getting kind of like a syrup, but it's got more to go because I want it thicker than that. lot thicker than that. And while that's doing, the pastry that I'm going to use this morning, you can buy the dough sheets that come like this, that it's a Pillsbury, and lots of times I just buy them, but I'm not going to use that particular one this morning. I found this, actually I found them at Walmart. These are Wakalka puff pastry, and it's flaky and layered. So that's the kind I'm going to use this morning, is this one right here. I've got my pastry cloth out, ready to go. I'll go ahead and open this up to see how I like these. Yeah, I kind of like these while this is cooking. And I think what I'll do is just kind of move things around so you can see it a little bit easier here. This is a real hot plate here, it really is. So we'll move that around. Okay, timer already went off to the 2 minutes, but it's still got to go a little bit more, it really does. When it's done of the 1 to 2 minutes of the syrup of how I like it to be, a little bit more thick than this, then I'll set it on a little hot plate and let that cool down a little bit while I get my pastry going here. Hope you can see that. Said if you don't have a pastry cloth, don't worry about it. Any counter surface will work too, as long as you add some flour onto it. I have added where you can get these pastry cloths, and the pastry, it's the little sleeve that goes on the rolling pin. I really like these little sleeves because it makes your pastry not stick to the rolling pin. I've just used them for many, many years. I really have. Okay, it's trying to boil, but hasn't got there yet. You want it to boil. You want it to get up to that boil stage. And like I said, I haven't used these pastry sheets, so let's see what this is all about. They just kind of unroll, very much like the ones for a pie crust. Take off the paper lining that it has. Put it that way. I may have to get just a little bit more flour, we'll see. Now I bought 2 of these in case I wanted to have a lot more. I'm just kind of spreading it out just a little bit. All right, now my mixture is of a boil. But that's where I'm going to time it for the 2 minutes now. And I'll let Chicky do all the work. Let Chicky do all the work. Kind of starting to collect a little bit on my timers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 in the camper. Different style of timers. Let that cool or cook for just a few more minutes, and I'll be right back. I'm back. I've added my apron on because I am going to be working with the pastry and flowers and blueberry that I don't want all over my top. While letting the mixture cool down, it has thickened even more. If you can quite see that, but it has thickened a lot more. So I poured myself a cup of coffee while I was waiting for that. Now, most of you that know me know that I don't drink a whole lot of coffee, but every now and then I like some. And I like a good Electric Perk coffee, I really do. So when I make coffee, I make it in my little vintage coffee pot that I have. This is a small one that I have for me. Pours out just wonderful, and I'm sorry, but to me, the taste of the coffee is so much better. I have a K-Cup coffee maker for my husband because he likes a strong coffee and I don't. And I have, everybody will laugh at my vintage stuff. I started out with just one like this. I've had several over the years of different Electric Perk coffee makers. This is one I hang on to if I want more than just a few cups. And way back when I first started, and I couldn't find my little tea kettle to this one, but I do have this little vintage one. With all else fails, you don't have any electricity, you know, you can start your stove if you have a gas range that you can put your coffee in one of these and cook it that way. But my tried and true of what I like, excuse me, I think I'm gonna sneeze, is my electric perk. I do have a drip machine in the house too for people that like that, but I just don't care for the drip taste somehow. I just like the electric perk coffee makers. Maybe I'll put those on my website too under gadgets. That's cookingwithcaroldiane.com, that you can find all these little neat things that I come up with. So now we're going to begin on making this pastry. My oven has been preheating and set for 400 degrees. And this is the pastry now. I'll go ahead and move this part over here. And what we're going to do is just take a knife and we're going to cut this pastry right down the middle. Don't cut your pastry cloth. Just easy at it. Go right down the middle. I'm back. Sorry for the little interruption. I had to plug in the power to my camera. It was running very low and I didn't catch it this morning early enough because my son stopped by to see me. He had just washed his new truck that he has and he wanted to come over and borrow my leaf blower to, I don't know, blow off some of the water, and then he was out there with Windex and doing his windows and things. What's a mom for other than to borrow or use something, huh? I think you've all been there. Okay, so I'm back with the pastry now that cut it down the middle, and you don't have to do that on your pastry cloth. You certainly can put it on the cookie sheet and cut the pastry, especially if you have a brand new pastry cloth, because that's kind of how you cut them, is with the sharp knife of doing things. So if you don't want to do it that way, go ahead and put it on the cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. And what I'm going to do to begin with is I've cut it in half, you know, each way, but now I want to roll these out just a little bit more so that they form more of a perfect square than what they are, so that when I put them as the triangle, they're actually going to form as the triangle. So here's the triangle of one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead now and fill this particular one with my sauce, or the filling here. And it doesn't take a whole lot on these. It really doesn't. Now I'm going to put it over to its, form it and make it come over to the edges. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Then I took an egg, put it in a bowl. You just beat it up a little bit, because this is your egg wash that you're going to use. Take any pastry little brush. This one, I'm going to use this one today. And I'm going to coat all of this. And that's going to make it come out nice and golden brown. Nice and golden brown. Then, because I want these to stick together, I'm going to go back with my fork. And I'm going to come along down here on the edges. Down here on the edges. And kind of stick these all together. And do that before. I'll try the next one of doing it before I put the egg wash on. And that's going to make it stick together. Now, if you don't want real large of these, I'll move that up just a little bit here. Then don't. Then make them smaller than that. You certainly could cut this one again and make some smaller ones. But I'm not doing that today. So now I'm going to roll this out just enough, like I said, to make more of a perfect square than that long oblong. And just kind of feel it and make sure that your edges come down a little bit more. You know, turn it over, make sure that one matches and comes down a little bit more. Pastry's pastry, you know, you got to work with it a little bit. Have that come down a little bit more. And we will set this one. Put it this way on here. Fill it up. The blueberries smell really good. They really do. There's just nothing better. Like I said, you can try other things if you want. If you have fresh cherries, you know, that would be another one that you could use, the cherries and the sugar, as long as you use the cornstarch to thicken up your sauce. Yeah, this works better. Works better to take the fork first to do this. Again, oven has to be at 400 degrees. And you're gonna cook these a good 15 to 20 minutes. Just kind of keep an eye on it because you want them to be nice and golden brown, not burn by any means. It's so nice out today. There's a nice little cool breeze. Last night when I was closing my bedroom window, normally when I go to it, I can still just kind of feel that it's still warm outside. Doesn't matter what time of night that I'm closing that window, it's just kind of warm. But last night there was a nice drop in temperature and cool, and that was really nice. So I'm going to start with these two, then I'm going to pop these in the oven 15 to 20 minutes, give or take. I'm going to just start it at 15 and watch it from there, but I think it'll be all right, and then I'll be right back. Popovers are out of the oven. Don't they look nice? Now again, this is the average size of a turnover. It really is, but if you don't like them that big, you could certainly take that pastry sheet that I showed rolling it out to make the perfect square and cut that in half if you wanted to make little mini ones, which I think would be nice too. But these are them. They have popped up. They could have popped up a lot more, but again, anytime you're rolling out pastry, the more that you roll, the more you handle it, you know, they're not going to do as well as what I would have liked to have even double that side, but they're great. They're great for what I want. So I'm going to set this aside now because I'm not done with them yet. You can keep them just like this and just have some nice butter on top and maybe sprinkle a little sugar on top and call it quits, you know, and you've got your nice blueberry turnover. But I'm going to add a little glaze to mine. So I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to take a half a cup of the powdered sugar, and then I'm going to take, instead of just water, I'm going to use, and I don't know if I can stick it down. This is just a tablespoon. I mean, you can eyeball it or you can get it exact, however you want to do it. But I'm just going to take some lemon juice now, about a tablespoon. And that's give or take. You'll have to see when you are mixing it up how much more you need. Obviously, I need a little bit more. So I'm just going to squeeze it on there of what I want. Squeeze, and this is going to give a wonderful flavor. It really is. Wonderful, wonderful flavor. Instead of just having it with the water. Let's mix it up. But you want to get it where it will come out of either a pastry bag, or today I'm going to show how to do a just putting it in a regular Ziploc bag and cutting the end of a Ziploc bag to have the same effect. It'll do the same thing. Perfect. So now it's going to just kind of look like this. Okay, that's my glaze. I'll set this aside and get the plastic bag. While I was waiting for my turnovers to come out of the oven, a real good friend of mine called me and asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm in the middle of a video again. I'm trying to get these turnovers done. And she says, I'll be right over. Have you got the coffee pot on? And I said, which coffee maker would you like? The drip? The K-Cup? She says, no, that one I had last time that tasted so good. I said, that would be my electric perk. It really would. And so that's what I made a fresh pot just for her when she gets over here. And truly over the years on coffee, and I've tasted tons of brands of coffee, but I still go back to the tried and true of Folgers. Folgers. Again, not a representative, not promoting, doing whatever coffee that you like. I just like the taste of Folgers. Now, I get the kind of the medium to mild. It's the one with the orange line right here because I don't like a real dark, heavy tasting coffee. And what I like about a drip coffee maker the most is it comes out so smooth tasting. It's not a bitter taste. And so that's what she's going to get today is that. Remember when the Folgers cans came out? This is how you bought them all the time, was in the metal cans. And the green one, you always knew that was decaf. Do you know these little guys now are considered antiques? You buy them in antique stores, you really do. My dad used to have, oh my gosh, all kinds of these to put, screws in or nails, a bunch of nails or bolts or whatever. And so anytime I see one, especially at a yard sale or whatever, that maybe they're older people and it's in the garage, they're getting rid of things, that's the first thing I go and look for is, where are the tin cans just like this? Because I want some more of them. So that's the Folgers coffee thing this morning. So she's going to like the coffee and a nice turnover. I know she's going to. Okay, so you're going to take your, I did forget a little glass on that. Let me grab one real fast. Get busy talking on the phone, not lose track of what I'm doing. So the easiest way to do on the pastry bag like this is to put it in a glass so that you can get your glazed part in here. If you have the pastry bag, that's great. I'm just trying to show there are other methods to use instead of a pastry bag. And it's not going to take very much. This little half a cup is going to be just fine for 4 little popovers. Now, if I wanted to use my second, if I had people here, had my husband home or whatever, and I wanted to go ahead and use that second bag of that puff pastry, then I would have, and I would have had a nice regular size of the turnovers. Otherwise, it's just what I have now. Okay, so take it off of this. It doesn't go anywhere. And just like any pastry bag, get it all the way down to the end as much as you can, and then just kind of turn it. Just turn it. And then take your scissors, and you're going to snip off the end. Hopefully if my scissors are sharp enough here. Sometimes, well, it doesn't matter. I got it to go. And then you're just going to start drizzling this all across the turnovers. Doesn't that look good, huh? This is going to be nice for my guest that's coming. And that's as simple as it gets. So again, the recipe was 2 cups of fresh blueberries. I took a half a cup of regular sugar, put it in a saucepan. I took 1 tablespoon of the lemon juice, and I did 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. I also added zest from the lemon to put in the saucepan. I brought back this one, and you certainly could add that also if you wanted just a little bit of zest onto the top of one of these, to make it look pretty. You could add that on here. Make this look kind of pretty. Mine's getting too soft now. But anyway, you could add that. But I'm going to be bringing this back. This one is it's called a Jamie Oliver. And I like it a lot better than the one that I used here. This one's just not quite as sharp as this one. And this one has a very nice little cover to it for storing away. So that part I like. But these are These are going to be good this morning, and like I said, I'll add on there about, somebody asked me just the other day, they texted me and asked me about these cookie sheets again. And again, I'll put that on my website, Cooking with Carol Diane, on the gadgets area for you to see. I like these cookie sheets. They come in a set of 3, large, medium, and small. And got them at Sam's Club, but it was at the holiday time. I think it was around Christmas. It was either Thanksgiving or Christmas time. And I picked them up, and I really like this little Teflon coating. I didn't have to put the parchment paper on here if I didn't want to. These clean up pretty easy, but I went ahead and did that. These are Nordic Ware cookie sheets, and they're not in the stores right now of Sam's Club, but you can buy them online. You just can't find this little copper color. They come in that silver, more of an aluminum color. I have tons of cookie sheets, and yes, some pretty nice vintage ones, of course, for me. But I go back to these quite often because I like the size of them, and because they come in a set of 3, so that's great. And they clean up so easily. So I'll be putting this on the website. I'll be putting a really good grater of this one on the website to show you. And if you have something else that maybe you've noticed that I've used, or you want to buy one of those, you want to look for one of those vintage coffee makers to make some really good coffee, then I'll put that on there also. Mostly I find these, yes, in antique stores. If I'm at a yard sale, and like I said, it's an older couple or whatever, and they have something like this, then that's kind of where I find them. Everything you can buy on eBay if you just search for it. This one happens to be a General Electric. My other one was a I don't remember what that one is. Farberware or something. I can't remember what the other one that I have, the bigger one, is. I didn't get into the Corningware back in the day when everybody was doing Tupperware, and they were buying that Corningware of the glass baking dishes. They were white with the little blue flowers and everything in the nice glass tops. I just never got into that, but they do have a coffee maker. It's one for the stovetop. In that, but I don't have that one, but I think I have enough of what I do have. So when my friend called me, you know, and wanted to come over for a cup of coffee and a turnover, really, truly, I like to please my guests. Which coffee maker do you want? Drip? You know, percolator? What do you want? And she remembered the taste of this, and because I always use Folgers coffees. So that's my little video on the fresh blueberry turnovers. I hope you have enjoyed it, and they were actually pretty easy to make. I would recommend getting that flaky pastry instead of the just pastry sheet that comes in the long tubes, because these are going to cut up, and I don't have a fork with me right now, but if I was to take one, oh gosh, yes, look at that. You know, look how much it flakes and does, and that's what you want on a pastry. It's what I want on a pastry anyway. So from my kitchen to yours, I hope you've enjoyed my little video and will return and ask me several other questions about little gadgets or things, because this is what I am finding now that I've made these videos, is people seem to want to know, where did I get that object, or, you know, how do I use something that they already have in their silverware drawer or whatever, their drawers in the kitchen. Well, how do I use that? I bought it, but I don't really know how to use it. Well, I'm going to try to show you on some simple little things that I have here, because I've got a ton of different little gadgets to show you, and I think it'll be fun. I hope the website is useful for you. And I'm moving right along with my cookbook on my recipes. If I do between 15 to 25 recipes a day, I think I'm going to have it done pretty fast. When I got out my recipe box, I had like 394 recipes. I don't know that I will use all of them, but several of the family members have already contacted me and said, would you add this one to your recipe cookbook that you want to do? And I said, absolutely. I said, the more the merrier, different recipes. My daughter-in-law, her mother is half Indian, so she's giving me some Indian, Navajo Indian recipes that I think will be just outstanding. And I'm pretty excited about it, I really am. I'll move right along on it, and pretty soon I'll be posting that you can get this cookbook from me of all these simple little recipes that I'm already making. You can just look up in my little book and say, yep, there's a recipe. I kind of remember her making it, but I don't want to watch the video all over again, so here's the recipe. So again, I'm hoping you're having a great Saturday afternoon, and I'll catch you next time on Cooking with Carol Diane. Bye-bye now.